The Falcon and the Winter Soldier Episode 2 has just released on Disney+, and I've had a chance to watch the episode, which includes some decent action, Easter eggs, and more to break down. In particular, I'm going to be explaining the plot and ending for Episode 2 of the new Marvel show, entitled The Star Spangled Man, in the aim to help you guys gather a greater sense of what's happened. This analysis will also contain spoilers, so if you do happen to be someone who hasn't watched episode 2 of The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, then I would recommend watching this video after you've caught up. If you want to see more videos on all of the Disney Plus Marvel shows, then don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on your notifications. Also, if you enjoyed this video, remember to give it a like rating. But without further ado, let's dive into my breakdown and explained video for episode 2 of The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. So, the drama in The Falcon and the Winter Soldier's first episode was all caps, or at least the new Captain America revealed in the final moments of the series opener, who looked sure to clash with Cap's ex-sidekicks, Sam and Bucky. And episode 2 doesn't take long to introduce us to this character, aka John Walker, an ex-football player and decorated soldier who was drafted in last minute to take on this rather unusual role. Episode 2 begins with an extended introduction to Walker, and at least initially, he's not quite as bad as his sneaky introduction would have suggested. In fact, by contrast, Walker seems like a pretty decent guy. He has a good friend, a nice girlfriend, and seems more or less like an ordinary guy, keen to be the best Captain America he can be. On screen, this plays out as Walker parading around a football field and signing autographs and action figures to a remixed version of the song Star Spangled Man, introduced in Captain America the First Avenger as a theme for Steve Rogers during his USO days. One of the most intriguing parts of the first Avenger, which was largely dropped later on, was the theme of Captain America as a PR exercise, largely useful to sell war bonds and engage with staged foes, rather than a useful agent in his own right. Here we get a hint of that again as Walker delivers a Good Morning America interview full of platitudes. Even though I never met him, he feels like a brother, he says of Steve Rogers, and notes that like the original Cap, he has the guts to see him through a task. Outside of the PR angle, it's interesting to compare Walker to Steve Rogers more generally, and the series definitely wants us to. Certainly there are parallels. Walker's friend Lamar notes that he can't punch his way out of problems anymore, which directly echoes something Scarlett Johansson's Black Widow said to Steve in Captain America Civil War, and he knows how to handle the shield, but there are also some key differences. Back in the first Avenger, Dr. Erskine's big gamble was to use the super soldier serum on a small asthmatic man rather than the athletic soldiers he was offered. His reasoning, because a strong man who has known power all his life will lose respect for that power, but a weak man knows the value of strength and knows compassion. Clearly, Walker has been strong all his life, and as much as he's not yet a villain, we do see the first stirrings of his arrogance and entitlement in this episode, keen as he is to enlist Bucky and Sam to his cause, largely for the optics of having Steve's wingmen on side. Of course, currently, the wingmen barely have each other's backs, let alone anyone else's. Fresh from the revelations of Walker's new role, Bucky tracks down Sam to have it out. After an episode that needlessly kept them apart last week, it's odd that the show, without too much real interest, throws them together, especially when Bucky then just decides to help Sam with his government work for no reason. Still, at least they're now teaming up to take on the Flag Smashers, who Bucky wants to fight immediately, while Sam urges more caution. "We're not assassins," Sam tells him slightly hypocritically, considering he blew up about 8 people in the last episode. Eventually, they do battle these strange new foes, but are largely overpowered by what Sam and Bucky now recognise as super soldiers, like Steve was and Bucky still is, until Walker and his sidekick Battlestar, which is his friend Lamar, show up. Unusual as it is to see someone else use the shield, it's not a bad first showing for Walker in combat. He certainly holds his own better than Sam and Bucky, who are suckered by the Flag Smasher leader Karli, apparently the true leader of the group, being threatened by a mysterious outside figure. But Sam and Bucky still aren't willing to accept him as the new Cap, and instead head to track down another lead. Said lead will be of great interest to Marvel fans, as it introduces a classic Marvel character to the fold, Cole Lumley's Isaiah Bradley, known as the Black Captain America. In the comics, he was presented as part of an attempt to recreate the super soldier serum after Steve's creation, briefly taking a costume and shield meant for Steve for a mission in an act that had him known as a bit of an urban legend. However, unlike Steve, Isaiah's story didn't have a happy ending. Leaving aside the ethics of being experimented on, Isaiah was treated poorly by the US military, later being captured by Nazis and court-martialed when he did manage to go home. Later in life, he also suffered mental and physical decline thanks to the effects of the super serum that had been used on him, and became childlike in his later years. It seems like at least some of this story is being replicated in The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, though so far it seems the detail of Bradley being a version of Captain America has been scrapped as opposed to him just being a super soldier. Either way, we don't find out Bradley's role just yet. Still angered by the years he was experimented on despite his heroism, and unwilling to trust Bucky thanks to his years as the Winter Soldier, Isaiah throws Falcon and Bucky out, delivering them to some police officers who, after racially profiling Falcon, arrest Bucky for missing his court-mandated treatment. John Walker, of course, returns to get them out, leading to a genuinely pretty funny joint therapy session of Falcon and Bucky that raises some issues between them. Bucky's insecurity about his redemption looks set to be a key theme throughout the series, and it's quite honestly the thing that I found the most interesting in the show. However, despite Walker's slightly cocky assertion that Bucky will now be working with him, the titular duo would still rather take on the Flag Smashers alone. Word of advice then, stay the hell out of my way, Walker replies, with some slightly sinister music. So yeah, it looks like we might see a turn of his character as the episodes pass. Elsewhere, the Flag Smashers are chased by the mysterious power broker, but manage to escape, raising new questions about who this unknown figure really is, and how he was able to bestow these super soldier powers on random freedom fighters. But perhaps Bucky has a lead on someone who can help, a man with connections to Hydra, the evil organisation that Isaiah had hinted could be behind all of this. Okay then, we're gonna go see Zemo, Sam agrees. It's exciting to see Daniel Bruhl join the fray as Baron Zemo, and hopefully they build on his earlier performance in Civil War to create a new take on his old villainous character. But that was my brief breakdown video explaining the plot and ending for episode 2 of The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Altogether, this was an episode that started to hint at the bigger storyline of the show, while also dropping some of the quieter threads like Sam's money issues and Bucky's struggles from before. But quite honestly, with us being a third of the way into this season, I was expecting a more compelling story. There's not much motivation for Sam investigating the Flag Smashers for the government, motivation that is any different to Walker, and I have no idea why Bucky has decided to get personally involved instead of just carrying on with his life. It feels lackluster, and although there's elements that remind me of the Winter Soldier, which I really love, there's also elements like the underdeveloped reasoning behind the story, which make me want more built interest. Don't get me wrong, the mix of action and Captain America Easter eggs is great, but I need more to pull me through the surrounding story. But overall, I'm giving episode 2 of The Falcon and the Winter Soldier a 6.5 out of 10. I hope you guys enjoyed my breakdown and brief review, and overall, I'm still looking forward to seeing what happens in episode 3 of the new Marvel show, which I will be covering on the channel next week. I'm also intrigued to hear all of your thoughts on episode 2, so let me know down below in the comment section, as well as listing your predictions for episode 3. For more content on The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, then don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on your notifications. Also, if you enjoyed this video, remember to leave a like rating. I am covering every episode of Season 1 alongside bringing constant updates on all the new Marvel shows, so make sure to keep a lookout for whenever I post. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed it. I've been Cortex, and as always, make some noise.